On recycling can collection, we continue to collect cans as we've talked about. Our goal was to get them done last week. We haven't been able to do that, but we've been double timing. We've brought on additional staff and rented some trucks. We're going as quickly as we can, as you can imagine. Picking up 21,000 recycling cans is a heavy lift, and while we've certainly cut into that number pretty significantly, that's on us to get done, and we're a little behind schedule. As we mentioned, I think it got a little misconstrued. Another complexity to it was that a lot of those cans were in garages or at the we did our best. It's always difficult to tell 21,000 people to with a postcard and social media, you can only do so much, but we aren't that it's the obligation's on us to get it done. So we're continuing to work fervently this week, even more so than last, to be able to get this picked up. So I appreciate everybody's patience with that, and we've been getting updates every other hour in administration on what neighborhoods are completed, where we're going next, and so I appreciate the time and effort, and again appreciate everybody's patience as we get moving there. I know we are moving from the north part of the city further south in general. That's not exactly how it's being done, but if we were to generalize the direction of places that have already been picked up, it would be north to south. So again, thanks for your patience on that. National Night Out is tonight, October 3rd at 5 o'clock today at Legion Field. I know it rotates one time in the city, one time in the county, so it's in the city. And this is normally PPD's National Night Out during the big heat wave of the summer. And so I know we've moved it to be a little more mild, hopefully, fingers crossed, to have it an outdoor event at Legion Field again today. I believe it's 5 to 7. I know it starts at 5 o'clock. So I'm going to stop by out there at the beginning for sure and talk to our neighbors and our police department. I appreciate them doing that. The public comment period is open for the Fricker Resource Center project grant. This may sound familiar. We had a public comment period for the HUD CDBG grant program for the money that thankfully, gratefully, were awarded the $5.5 million of the Hurricane Sally money for Fricker Center that we now have ready to go. But this is for an additional $4 million in grant funding, and it's actually through broadband funds. So it still will run through Florida Commerce the same way that the previous one did. But it's the intent of these dollars is to go into, and I think there's 83 million available, 83.9. The intent of these dollars is to add more multi-purpose elements to community centers, and with special priority on underserved communities, low and middle income, that LMI metric that is used a lot through CDBG or Florida Commerce. So that if awarded, that would give us another $4 million. We'd be at $9.5 million to really, again, have the goal of doing something transformative there. And what we've always talked about at Fricker was, if we could find the funding, that we make sure that what we rebuild isn't just to rebuild what's already there, but to rebuild something that the community needs and the community wants there. And so this public comment is part of the process, but of course, if the money is awarded, that would only be the beginning of that process. We would, of course, get into more robust public engagement if awarded that money and we know what our budget is. So this is part, I believe the deadline is October 16th for the public comment period. It was the 13th. I think it's the 16th now, and the grant is due soon after that, right around that area. So we should hear something maybe at the end of the year, first part of next year, whether we would get this additional $4 million. And part of what strengthens this application is community partnerships and offering things to the neighboring community that are outsourced, like healthcare, like workforce development. So what we would see is a potential future at Fricker where there would be a career source, community health, those types of engagements right there at the neighborhood, in the neighborhood at the community center. And so you can imagine that would be to have that amount of funding to revitalize Fricker Center and to be able to do it in ways that are even more functional than ever to help the community would be a really great thing. So very, very excited to see how that goes, and certainly I'll be once we've got that application in, our great grants team gets that done, we'll be advocating for that as hard as we can. The update on not much of an update from last week on the Baptist Hospital donation agreement. We had shared our thoughts and some discussions of things that we wanted to see in the donation agreement with Baptist last week. They have returned a draft donation agreement for legal to review and all of that. I have not reviewed it yet, but it should have reflected some of those things. And what we also know is that there may be some sister agreements or addendums to or separate agreements that one thing that we're considering is the potential donation of property in advance, that we ask Baptist to donate us property now, and that if we don't meet certain benchmarks, if we aren't able to raise the money, then we deal with that at that time, whether it would be revert back to Baptist or we buy it at market rate or whatever the case may be. We're still working through that. But just to give an example, why you may see a main donation agreement as well as some potential other agreements, is that just makes that easier to execute than to tie it all up into one signature. So you may see more than just the donation request, but certainly the donation request will be the anchor of the agreement moving forward. But I've remained very confident in the fact that we need to be ready to go, us and Baptist and our delegation need to be ready to go, equipped with what that number is and how to go fight for it by really the end of this month at the latest, because of a session starting. And well, not session, but of course leading up to session, things are really going to start moving. And we've told Senator Broxson and Representative Salzman, Representative Andrade, that we would have that ready to go. So I feel very confident that we're going to have the details we need to move forward and advocate, even if that final donation agreement isn't signed by both parties. We'll know what the number is, we'll know what the lift is going to be, and what we need to go fight for. So and we could have it. That's not me saying we won't for sure, but I'm more concerned about agreeing to the terms than I am necessarily about having that document absolutely signed before there's ever a workshop over in Tallahassee. So I feel very good about where we are there, and our legal team will review what has just been sent back to us, and I could have a more robust update for you on it next week. Malcolm Young, the bids for demolition go out this week, and that will last through November 6th. And at that point, we should know the direction that we're going there. And as I've let you guys know, we have our folks analyzing what can and can't be done in terms of workforce housing, how many units could be built there as the current zoning allows, knowing that Senate Bill 102 could change things. Someone that could propose something on this property could maybe do something different, but we wanted to set the groundwork for an RFP for workforce housing, that you would be able to put X number of units under the current rules. So our housing department, our planning department are working hand in hand and CRA to figure out what that is. And then so we're, again, ready and equipped to go, that when the demolition takes place, we can get that RFP out as soon as possible. So that's where we are. We'll spend about the next 30 days getting prices on demolition. And the good news was I don't remember if I mentioned last week, there is no asbestos that existed within Malcolm Young, which was going to be a large variable on the demolition cost. So we're going to be asking the CRA once we have that price, we'll be bringing that forward to CRA for them to vote on. But the good news is that number wasn't inflated significantly by the remediation requirements of any kind of asbestos or other things. So we don't know what that's the value of that yet, but we will once we have those bids back. Smoke alarm Saturdays. We have this Saturday. I'll be out with our firefighters and many others. Creighton Heights, kind of south of Creighton, west of Tippin. Is that area, Creighton Heights, this Saturday. And right now we're planning another one on October 21st, the West Side Garden District, which would be south of Cervantes, north of Garden, east of Paste, and west of A. Kind of that square there is the plan for October 21st. Both of those are 9 a.m. to noon. I know we're meeting at the fire station up on 9th Avenue at 8:30. So again, I'll be out there. I know some of our council folks will be out there. for both of these. And then actually Amy Miller just mentioned to me that I know that the United Way Day of Caring, I believe they're doing the same thing on the 20th with the Red Cross. So even though that's certainly what they're spearheading, but we may have some additional firefighters join into that effort because we've already be out there doing it, and if we can be a help in any way, that would be great. But the two that we're spearheading are Saturday the 7th and Saturday the 21st for now, in those two. And a good reminder, actually, Rick reminded me on the radio this morning when he asked about can people just call, and absolutely, you can just call our fire department and call 311. If you need a smoke alarm in your house, you don't have to wait and see until your neighborhood's on this. This is something that you can ask us for right now, and we'll come have a firefighter bring it to you free of charge, install it free of charge. So we definitely we know that without getting into details of specific issues with specific fires, this has been a very difficult year for us in terms of fires and in terms of death in these fires, and we know that a huge contributing factor is either the lack of smoke alarms or the lack of a functioning smoke alarm. When you think about how small a product that is and how small a cost that is, and it be the cost of someone's life, that's why this is important to us, and why both the council, the fire department, the staff, and myself are really shoulder to shoulder in this, and trying to make sure that we do everything that we can to not have to lose another life over just the lack of a smoke alarm. So appreciate any support, advocacy of that, and getting the word out about that. Paving, Roger Scott Tennis Center update. I think I gave this update. Paving began, actually, maybe it was about to begin. Paving began on Monday. And the expected completion date is Friday, October 6th for the paving portion. I just met with the operator the other day, and I think their general thought was that we were going to be done somewhere near the end of the year, maybe first part of next year, where we'd be back open. But I haven't confirmed that on our side, but that's, I know, because we had a meeting with him unrelated, I know that was his expectation. So, but we still continue to be on track there at getting the Roger Scott Tennis Center redone. And then last thing, and take your questions, is I may have mentioned many months ago, we've been working, we've kind of moved to a second option, but we were looking for potential places for a police substation on the north side of the city that we, when you think about the police officers who are on that beat that are on the north part of the city, if they've got body cam footage, if they've got different things that where they would be all the way up near Creighton Road or further north of that, and then having to come all the way back downtown, that's a lot of time spent that would normally be out, working through those neighborhoods and having additional police presence that's being spent in transit. And so we thought we would try to figure out a good partnership. A good partnership to be able to establish a police substation on the north side of the city, kind of in that 9th Avenue, Creighton kind of area. So we've gone down a path with one potential location. By no fault of theirs or ours, it just didn't work out. But by next week, we should have hopefully some good. I would say in the next 2 weeks, we're just finalizing. I can't speak to details on it yet, but all I can tell you now is that we are getting very close to finding a location and getting that established. I just can't share it with you because there's legal, with it being the police department and a lease and some other things. We aren't able to give you everything quite yet, but definitely on the horizon, and I think we're in the final few days before we can make that announcement, and I think it's a great improvement for public safety here in the city. So more to come on that, but I think that's everything I've got, and again, happy to take your questions.
The Fricker Center grants, I guess, what would the $4 million be used to specifically? Would it be used to expand the building, or does it have to be used on specifically technology?
Yeah, I'm not sure of. I'd hate to delve into whether it can be used for walls and ceilings as opposed to things that go inside of it. What I can tell you, though, is certainly any infrastructure that it would take to make it multi-purpose. As an example, to build a computer lab within the place, certainly everything inside that computer lab, screens, computers, all of that would. I would argue, given the dollar amount, that I imagine there's going to be some ability to use some of that for infrastructure. Because if there wasn't, it probably wouldn't be $84 million. So I'm speculating on that. I would have to get you a clear answer on exactly what it could be used for or not. But what I can tell you is the goal of its use is to provide services, including third-party services there, as well as again, functions like a library, a computer lab that make it more, again, the word they keep using within the grant request is multi-purpose, to make it a more multi-purpose facility for these LMI areas. So that's what they focus on. Whether, and again, there were some interesting things that have come up about, you could the potential for e-gaming, opportunity there, and that be part of the computer lab, and those are the types of things that we know it could pay for. And I would imagine if they are proposing that we were to have services provided there, workforce, health, that we would have to be able to contribute to those facilities. I would imagine, if that's what they're asking, that they wouldn't assume that we would take on the construction of those. But we can get some clear definition for you if it exists. Exactly at this point. You learn a lot, before the grant, and you also learn a lot once it's been awarded of exactly all the rulemaking on what you can and can't do. So. But our expectation right now is that we would look at this as a $9.5 million renovation project at this point.
Have the deadlines moved to the 16th for the public?
Yeah, that's what I have on my notes. I know I said this morning it was the 13th, but it said it got extended to the 16th. Okay. Yeah, and I know we've got a QR code, and we've had stuff coming in, but we'll get the word out on that, and I know we'll have it on our website. That's why I wanted to give the clarity that sometimes this gets confused, that this is the public comment portion of what will happen at the building. Clearly, this is part of our grant application process that we have asked the community to see what they want. But if we were awarded this money, that's a whole nother, we have a much larger discussion about what you want there, because, we would just do that in a more concentrated way if the money was awarded. So this is a byproduct of the application ask. Valuable, very valuable to us, but we wouldn't rely solely on what we would get here and then go start a construction project. We would come back to the community for more feedback when it was time to build something or renovate.
And you mentioned, so are y'all looking specifically at renovating the existing Fricker Center, or is it going to have to be torn down and rebuilt?
Probably too early to say. I mean, with the construction prices now, it is hard to ever say fully that you would absolutely knock a building. If that you could get some value out of the building, that you would probably do so. Just because, I mean, the price tag could be limitless when you start talking about replacing a structure of that size, demoing and replacing a structure of that size. We would entertain either, I guess is what I would say. But I'm sure it would be the full assessment of what's there, and if there's portions of the building that structurally are good, or you could build a second story on. And remember, the $5.5 million, a lot of that is stormwater related. So whether that means some stormwater element to better protect that neighborhood there that has had some flooding issues in nearby areas, as well as potential storm hardening of the building. So there's some other things that the first bucket of money address that this one doesn't necessarily address. And so that's why the value of that multi-purpose grant is that some of those dollars could be tapped for things that the $5.5 million couldn't. But probably too early to say for sure that we would. I think we would look at both options and what's the best result. If we feel good that we get plenty of useful life out of renovation, you can assume it would be cheaper to. Assume, not always guarantee, but that it would be cheaper to renovate something and we could do that within our budget, then of course we'll go down that road. And if we can demo and replace in full and it be within budget, that would be the best case scenario. So we'll look at both.
And you talked about public input and saying once the project, if you get the grant, you'll do a bigger public. I guess what in an underserved community like that, what's your strategy as far as actually getting real feedback from the community from people who work multiple jobs, making
sure.
time to come out to the town hall, that type of thing?
Well, I've learned a lot about that since I've been in this job, and really mainly from the Harvard Fellowship about Hollis T. Williams, and getting to see what other communities are doing and how proactive they are. I mean, even to the point where they go hire someone, a citizen, an engaged citizen within a neighborhood, hire them, not ask them to volunteer, and to go in and kind of lead the anchor of that. I can't speak to exactly what we will or won't do, for each project, but I've really been enlightened about what other communities are doing to not just have a meeting, but to go into the community and really learn what they want. And so what I can tell you is I'm committed to that. I'm committed to modernizing really a proactive solution in community engagement. It's been done here. I've been part of the Bruce Beach project when that was done by SCAPE in 2018. I think they filled up capacity crowds at Sanders Beach twice. Had several meetings at the SEI building with different groups, some from the neighborhood, some from historians, some from. It was a very. It was. I wasn't. I was really part of to be the liaison for SCAPE for them and help them pull that off. But they were the ones that. And so that was really enlightening for me to watch back then, and then learning more now. Yeah, we can't sit back and have a couple meetings a couple times. And expect that is the full opinion of the neighborhood, because you're right. There's challenges of getting that engagement. People's hours. People have much more important things to worry about. Putting food on the table and caring for their children and getting their children to school. But we can't use that as an opportunity to not engage. So we've got to be where the people are. And so we'll do that with every large-scale engagement project moving forward. We're already having conversations about how we're going to redo the community engagement within Hollis T. Williams. That there was some that was already done. It was done during COVID, and I think they did as good a job as they can given the circumstances of COVID and everything else. But we're going to be taking another look and another deeper look at community engagement in Hollis T. Williams and making sure that when we say we're reconnecting a lost neighborhood, that we actually are reconnecting a lost neighborhood. So we'll, as I said, can't commit to exact bullet points or tactics of that yet, but other than just the philosophical emphasis and priority for us to make sure that we engage these communities.
As far as the pickup of the recycling cans, what kind of timetable do you expect them to finish?
Oh man, as soon as possible. I get dinged on Facebook or in my email every hour. Understandable, I mean, we got to do what we say we're going to do, and obviously in retrospect, it's picking up 21,000 cans in 5 days might have been a little overzealous, but that's okay. We are where we are, and I know we're working real hard at it. And
Are they in the firm date?
Nah, not at this point. I mean, it's as soon as possible.
Or residents just go ahead and keep their cans out there?
I would say so, and as inconvenience, that's why I say I apologize for that. As inconvenient as it is, there isn't a better solution. Pulling them back and putting them back in your driveway ain't going to get us any closer. And so I think just being as patient with us and know that we're on it, and that we're accountable to do that. It spurs another question I've been asked is, what are we going to recycle the old recycling cans? No, we're not. We're looking for the ability to leverage that, whether that's some additional funding to help subsidize recycling by selling the cans. We're not going to make any big quick decisions on what we're going to do with the cans until we know what the opt-in. We may be turning right back around and taking 5,000 or 6,000 of those and putting them back in the city for an opt-in program. We don't know that yet, so we wouldn't turn around and sell 21,000 cans tomorrow. But no, the intent at this point is not to crumple them up and put them in the recycling.
Follow-up question. Last week you mentioned that you were going to meet with the American Beverage Association.
Yes.
Did you meet with them?
I meet with them Friday, I believe. Yep, Friday morning, and then we actually meet this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon with Waste Management on site at our transfer station. So we'll be meeting with them. They've seen our numbers, they've seen our poll results. They're going to come check out our facility, see what they can do. If there's some, because I'm sure that's part of what they've got to price out and model out is where they pick everything up. And so I know Fred and the team will be out there. I'll be out there, and we'll take a look at that. We're also we continue to pursue. I'd put it in pencil, not in pen yet, but I think November 1st is what our target date is to have the manned drop-off facility. I believe that is a Wednesday. That would be the first Wednesday that we would do the manned drop-off, that you'd be able to go to our transfer station on Leonard Street, drop off aluminum steel cans, plastics, the heavier plastics like detergent bottles and milk jugs, and hand that to one of our team members, and then we would get that up and going at little or no contamination. So that continues to be on schedule at this point, and I'll continue to update you every week on that as well.
Can you give a percentage as far as how many cans?
Yeah, we're it's changing every minute that we're in here because again we got a lot of crews out there right now. But I know we're confirmed over a third, but where we are and that depending on the newness of that number starting this morning, I would think we'd be approaching 10,000 or so by the end of the day today. I would somewhere in that area. So. And as I said, there's multiple elements to that. It's us getting urgent and getting enough infrastructure out there to get them, but it's also making sure that people have their cans out. And I know that was one of our issues in that first week was if a can's behind a fence or in a garage somewhere for that last week. I don't, again, lessons learned for us. I don't know that there's such thing as an easy way to pick up, 21,000 cans in a short period of time, but I know our team's out there working hard right now and will continue to do so. They went out on all day Saturday, and they've been out all day, again, yesterday, all day today. So we're really double timing it in addition to starting to pick up the garbage twice a week. So, we're moving as quickly as we can.
What is your reaction to Congressman Gates filing the resolution to oust Speaker Park? I got 21,000 garbage cans to pick up and parks to open. I don't get too involved in that. Most of my conversation with Congressman Gates is centered around City of Pensacola and seeing if he can help us with something or if he has something that he has a question about or something that I can be an advocate of Pensacola for with him. So I wouldn't even dare to speculate on that because I'm entrenched here at the City of Pensacola working on things for Pensacolians. So that's where I'm at.
You had mentioned last month that you were hoping to start the co-responding.
Yes.
Policing, has that started yet?
October 16th, okay. I believe. Yeah, we initially said 2nd, but there was just there was some a delay in getting folks on board procedural. But the last update I got from Chief was October 16th is when the start date would be for both. But also you may not see that may not be fully feet on the street October 16th. There'll be some training and onboarding. I know he's got a whole onboarding process in place with those co-responders
so
going.
Be onboarded into the 16th.
Correct.
Okay.
Their first day of work will be October 16th.
Okay.
I just mean
so
if you don't see them on the 17th,
yeah.
it might be that they're in training. So, I mean, I would call it, feet on the street November 1st, probably something more of that where you'd start to see that presence. But what I know, and we've already discussed, is once they were on board, that I want to convene a meeting of every resource there is in mental health and homeless reduction, and let's get them in the Rolodex and educated, and to really make sure that all of these resources that have been in our community for years and years understand this is not a us and them. This is all of us. That our intent with this model is to further accentuate, to further improve our ability to help people in need. I mean, and so I think that's what change. You all hear me say all the time. Change causes anxiety, and sometimes people wonder, well, if the police department has these folks, or do they not see us as a good resource? Not at all. I think this is us stepping up to the plate and saying.
Is there background social work?
Yes. It'll be some social work, a little different between the two, but either social work or direct outreach. Would be some of their experience.
Qualifications for the job.
Yes.
Or they show
Yes.
social work.
Yes. Yeah. Now, if you ask about, I'll have to find out if it's specific licenses or anything. I don't want to speak to that, but yes, what I would say is the experience that the police department was looking for was in social work and community outreach, not outreach in the sense of putting on events in the community. Right. Outreach, direct outreach for mental health, things like that. So yeah, I believe we're slated for the 16th, and as I said, probably effectively after some training and onboarding, probably more in the first part of November. Yep. All good.
All right, thank you, guys.